Good morning, students. I welcome you to our lecture of Business Economics, semester 5th. In last lecture, I have explained the features of National Agricultural Policy 2000, in which we discuss various objectives and features related with National Agricultural Policy 2000. In today's lecture, I will explain what are the implications of new agricultural policy 2000. These are the implications of new agricultural policy 2000. The NAP 2000 has laid down targets as well as certain measures to achieve these targets. The policy implies that the agricultural sector requires to undergo many changes as explained in these points. The first one is the increased productivity. Performance of agriculture below the target is due to low productivity in this sector, which is much less than not only the developed countries but even many of the developing countries. To improve productivity, agriculture requires to be supported by a sufficient amount of quantity of qualitative inputs besides other supporting services. What are the inputs? For example, seeds, fertilizers, etc. Second one is reduction in agricultural population. At present, about 50% of our population depends on agriculture, but contributing only about 15% of GDP. In most of the developed countries, about 2 to 5% of population is in agriculture, producing a surplus of agricultural output. We require to divert our agricultural population to non-agricultural activities by promoting rural development. Third one is increase in investment. A huge amount of investment is required to provide infrastructure facilities to the agricultural sector. It includes irrigation, electricity, roads, markets, warehouses, and so on. Capital formation of this sector at present is only 16.4% of agriculture and allied sector. The public sector contribution is mere, that is 2.8%. Next one is the private investment. Incentives should be provided to promote private investment in the above mentioned sector. A public-private partnership could be promoted for this purpose. Next one is the research and development. At present, our research and development programs have not succeeded in providing sufficiently good qualitative inputs such as seeds, fertilizers, tools, and inputs. More resources are required to be allotted to improve our research and development program. Next one is the extension program. Agricultural universities and research institutes should be made to train and educate farmers in effective methods of cultivation and better use of input resources. Next one is the appropriate technology. It is not advisable to adopt imported technology from developed countries. Technology appropriate to our environment must be developed and used. Next, area-specific development strategy. In vast country like India, with the difference in quality of soil, weather, and environment, it is necessary to develop area-specific strategy to promote agricultural growth. Next one is the service. Okay, next one is the use of wasteland. India, according to estimates, has 79.5 million hectares of waste land which is required to be utilized for agriculture and afforestation. Next one is the service cooperatives. Small and marginal farmers are not in a position to purchase equipment, quality seeds, and other inputs. To provide these services, service cooperatives are required to be established. Marketing services too can be provided by these cooperatives. Next one is the land reformers. Land to the tiller is the main objective of Indian land reforms. The marginal farmers in many parts of the country, especially in parts of northern states, have not been successful in obtaining the ownership of the land they cultivate. They are helpless in establishing their rights. Suitable actions must be taken to effectively implement the land reforms. Next one is the change in attitude. Agriculture in India is treated as a way of life and not a commercial venture. Such an attitude is undergoing a change, yet it is not strong enough to transform the agricultural sector. So, all these are the implications of National Agricultural Policy 2000. So, this is the end of the topic National Agricultural Policy 2000, in which in earlier lecture we discussed the features of National Agricultural Policy, and today's lecture we discuss what are the implications of National Agricultural Policy 2000. Clear? Moving further, the next topic I will discuss, which is known as agricultural pricing, and that is features of agricultural prices in India. First, firstly we discuss what are the features of agricultural prices in India. First one is the non-remunerative prices. But before that, features, explanation of the features, we will discuss some background behind this agricultural prices in India. Farmers earn their income by selling what they produce, that is, agricultural commodities. How much would they earn depends on the prices of what they sell. Since half of our population depends on agriculture, the remunerative price for agricultural goods is very significant in deciding their economic conditions. Right? So, based on this, we will discuss the features of agricultural prices in India. First one is the non-remunerative prices. Now, what is mean by remunerative prices? Remunerative prices is essential to have a better income. Higher income provides the necessary incentive to put in hard work, apply better inputs, produce more and earn more, right? So very often farmers get non-remunerative prices. That is, they are getting very low income for what they produce. Second, uncertainty. Agricultural market is subject to seasonal fluctuations. Uncertainty about the prices discourages farmers from introducing any innovations in cultivation and also from taking risk. A comparatively stable price will provide the confidence to improve the cultivation and produce more. Next one is the distress sale. Farmers being poor and are in need of money for various reasons. They do not have holding capacity and therefore resort to distress sale immediately after the harvest. Next one is the middleman. Most of the small and marginal farmers sell their produce to the middlemen, who exploit them by paying a lower price than the market price. More the middleman, greater is the gap between producers, that is farmers, price, and the consumers, that is final price. Next feature is incomplete information. Most of the farmers do not have sufficient market information regarding the prevailing prices. This makes the farmer sell their product at lower price. Purchasers take the advantage of the lack of information or ignorance of farmers, thus exploiting them. Next point is poor infrastructure. Facilities like official or organized market information, communication, transport system, and so on for effective marketing of agricultural goods are insufficient, resulting in farmers' exploitation. So these are the features of agricultural prices in India. First one is non-remunerative prices. Second, uncertainty. Third one is distress sale. Next is middleman. Next one is incomplete information. And last one is poor infrastructural facilities. Clear? So write down the notes of today's topic. Next lecture, I will start with the new topic. Till then, stay safe, stay home, and